Hey everybody, welcome back to MACkite Wing Wednesdays. I'm Tucker, and today we're going to talk to you about the Duotone wing lineup and how to choose the wing that's right for you, whether that's the Unit V3 or the Slick SLS. You could also apply this video to previous year's models, so Unit V2, regular Slick. It's all going to be pretty applicable there as well. So if you're looking at a closeout wing, this should be valuable for you here as well. All right, so the big breakdown between the unit and the Slick, the first thing you're going to notice on paper or on the website, as it is these days, is the handle layout. So the unit has two hard handles here and here that are screwed on with Phillips head screws. You aren't going to take these off every session. Only if you need to replace one for some reason, or maybe if you're traveling, you really just want to pack it down super tight. But for the most part, you're going to leave these on. With the Slick, you can leave the boom attached, but it is easily removable, especially if you want to pack it into a small backpack, or you're sharing a boom between multiple wings, which is totally capable. That's what most people do. They'll buy one boom for maybe every couple of wings. And that way you can just switch between wings. Don't need to buy multiple booms. And some reasons to choose between these. The handles are a little bit more just set it and forget it. As I said, you're not going to take them off every time, so you just kind of inflate the wing and go. It is an extra step to put a boom in, although it only takes about 20 seconds once you know what you're doing. Really not a big factor probably for most people. This does pack down a little bit smaller with everything included, because there's individual handles rather than one long boom here. With the boom, you are going to have to always travel with that 3.5-foot pole, which isn't a problem for most people on a daily occasion. But if you're really trying to pack down small, or if you're on a flight and you're not bringing a board bag or something, that could be a consideration. At this time, they don't have a two-piece boom that can break apart. I really like to see that in the future, or maybe somebody can customize one out there. I'm sure somebody already has done it, but that would be a cool option as well, to be able to break that down for future and for traveling individuals. So that's kind of the interface difference. The handles are pretty narrow diameter. They're kind of oval shaped. This would be most similar to the Platinum SLS style boom, which is a carbon narrower grip. The silver and the carbon platinum that is non-SLS are going to be a little wider diameter. So if you have small hands, or if you're riding in cold weather, the narrower grips can be slightly easier to hold on to, I would say. Again, maybe not a game-changing difference, but something to consider there with regard to the handles. And really the biggest thing I would consider is that the individual handles here are a little lighter weight for surf and luffing. The boom adds just a little bit of weight, but it also gives you the option to one-hand the wing kind of in here and really, manhandle it one-handed. That's really fun for free ride if you're into that. It can be really helpful for freestyle riding if you're doing that kind of stuff. But also, just if you're downwinding, or you want to just kind of one-hand it and rest your other hand, that can be handy. I know a lot of times in light wind wave riding, I like to one-hand that boom when I have that wing, and it really helps just give you a little boost when you want it and direct the wing downwind rather than having it kind of fall in front of you or just kind of flag funky in those lighter days. It's also a little easier to find on the boom, I would say. So these handles, they're generous, they stick out nicely. Once you get used to it, they're really easy to find. But as a new rider, you really, aren't always going to find these. If you're reaching blindly or you're just not really used to it yet, the boom is almost impossible to miss. It's like out here, it really sticks out a lot. So you can really just kind of slap at it and find it every time. So for new riders, we call that the easy button. Especially if you're into windsurfing in the past, you'll be familiar with sliding your hands around on a boom. The boom can be really beneficial for that. It does make learning maybe just incrementally easier because you're not missing those handle grips when you go to reach for them blindly, in a drive and attack, when you're coming from your knees up to your hand or up to your feet, and setting up those board starts. The boom is just a little easier, a little bit more intuitive. with those people that don't have experience and intuition to where those handles are just yet. So that's kind of the basics of, that boom interface or handle interface. In terms of the total design of the wing and the sensation you're getting when you're riding it, these wings are really quite different. I'd say that's really going to be the biggest talking point for anybody considering these two different wings. The unit is very grunty and lifty. It's got that kind of pull and go power, a very physical wing to ride overpowered. It does really well on the low end. A lot of people like it for light wind riding because it does have that immediate lift and that immediate grunt. And you can really just scoop those big pumps in and get right on foil right away. You don't need to pump up. So it does have that kind of immediate pull and acceleration that can make light wind riding a little bit easier, especially for new riders. So it's really helpful that way. The unit's also really great for shorter riders because it's very powerful. It's got a lot of dihedral, which keeps the wingtips off the water, but you can usually size down about 1/2 meter versus a lot of other wings in the unit because it is so grunty and powerful. Sizing down is going to readjust that wind range into a more normal level and allow you to ride a smaller wing in terms of its physical dimensions. So for shorter riders, that's going to be a lot more important, or for those people riding, on the water, on the snow, or on the land, where you don't have that foil clearance to help give you a little bit more a margin for error in terms of those touchdowns. So the unit's really awesome for that. Really, its intention is waves and freestyle. The slick SLS, by comparison, is much more forward pulling wing. It still has some grunt, enough to make it easy for new riders. I would not hesitate, in any way to hand a new rider a slick, especially with the boom. It is very intuitive. I would say you do want to ride it in a more normal size. So if you're looking at, 5 meter wings, buy a 5 meter, don't buy a 4.5 in the unit. Maybe you want to buy a 4.5. So keep that in mind when sizing. So the slick SLS is going to give you a little bit more forward pull, which can help amplify your apparent wind. It can help give you higher foiling speeds, better upwind ability. It also tends to make riding overpowered a little bit more comfortable because it's not going to want to yank you downwind or lift you off your feet. It's going to just want to create more forward momentum and speed, which tends to be easier to handle when you're overpowered rather than getting yanked around by a really grunty wing. So if you're looking to ride overpowered, Slick SLS is a great choice for that as well, and it's really going to help expand your range into a wider range than the unit, I would say. You do gain a little bit on the unit on the low end, but you gain a lot of room on the SLS on the high end. So it really helps expand that range and cover more territory with fewer wings. Whereas the unit, you're probably going to need maybe an extra wing in your quiver to cover that same, 10 to 40 range, so to speak. So that's, some of the basics of it. In terms of their flight characteristics, I mentioned, the unit can be a little bit more physical to ride overpowered. The slick is a little bit easier on your body overpowered. It's also a little smoother riding in those overpowered, janky situations, whereas the unit can get a little nervous when it's overpowered. And partially that's the dihedral, partially that's, that gruntiness kind of manhandling you a little bit more than you controlling the wing. Sometimes you're going along for the ride on the wing. And I'm talking about really overpowered. I was out on the unit the other day. This is a 4.5. I was riding it in like 30 to 38 knots. So we're talking overpowered here. A lot of people won't ever use their wing in that situation, so maybe it's less of a talking point, but something of note for those people that might want to do that. So those are the two wings from Duotone. The unit, light wind, shorter riders, people needing a little smaller wing they can size down. The SLS is going to allow you to expand your range, be a little easier user interface with the boom, especially for new riders, and tends to be a little bit better in the free ride category, just allowing you to ride a little smoother, ride a little bit more overpowered, and have a little easier handling and more options for handling, one-handing it or from the middle of the boom, etc. But both really phenomenal wings, can't go wrong either way. If you're just an intermediate free rider, I mean, take your pick, man, choose your flavor. They're both amazing wings, a lot of fun, and really can't go wrong. But that's what you can expect from each wing. If you have any questions or want a personal recommendation, reach out to us here at the shop. You can do that in the comment section below, email, or you can call us on the phone or live chat through our website, and we'd be happy to offer a recommendation to you and really help you hone in on the right wing and the right size and any options you might need as far as a harness line or a wing leash or a pump adapter or what name you. We're here to help. This has been Tucker with MACkite Kiteboarding, and we'll see you next time.